Question 1. When interacting with law enforcement while legally carrying a concealed firearm, which of the following actions is generally recommended? A. Immediately reach for your firearm and state you are a permit holder. B. Keep your hands in plain sight, inform the officer you have a permit and firearm, and follow their instructions. C. Try to conceal your firearm better before the officer approaches. D. Remain silent about the firearm unless specifically asked. Answer: B. Keep your hands in plain sight, inform the officer you have a permit and firearm, and follow their instructions. Explanation: safety during a law enforcement interaction while carrying is paramount for both you and the officer. Keeping your hands visible prevents misunderstandings, and calmly informing the officer you are a concealed carry permit holder and possess a firearm allows them to assess the situation safely and provide clear instructions. Following their directions precisely minimizes potential risk and demonstrates responsible conduct as a permit holder. Always prioritize clear communication and compliance with law enforcement instructions. Question 2. Which of the following is the safest way to store a handgun when it is not being carried? A. Loaded in a bedside table drawer for quick access. B. Unloaded, locked in a safe, with ammunition stored separately and securely. C. In a vehicle's glove compartment, unlocked. D. Loaded, with the safety engaged, hidden under a mattress. Answer: B. Unloaded, locked in a safe, with ammunition stored separately and securely. Explanation: secure storage is critical to prevent unauthorized access, especially by children or individuals who should not handle firearms. Storing the handgun unloaded and locked in a safe, while keeping ammunition separate and locked, adds layers of security that significantly reduce the risk of accidents or misuse. This method ensures the firearm is inaccessible and non-functional until intentionally retrieved and prepared for use by a responsible person. Always make secure storage a top priority to protect your family and community. Question 3. The primary purpose of the Firearm Safety Certificate, FSC, in California is to: A. Serve as a permit to carry a concealed handgun. B. Demonstrate knowledge of basic firearm safety principles and laws required to purchase or acquire firearms. C. Allow the holder to bypass the background check when purchasing a firearm. D. Certify proficiency in shooting a handgun accurately. Answer: B. Demonstrate knowledge of basic firearm safety principles and laws required to purchase or acquire firearms. Explanation: the Firearm Safety Certificate, FSC, is a state-mandated requirement in California for most individuals wishing to purchase or acquire a firearm. It signifies that the individual has passed a written test demonstrating knowledge of safe firearm handling practices, storage laws, and general firearm laws in California. Holding an FSC is a prerequisite for acquiring a firearm but is separate from obtaining a permit to carry a concealed handgun. Passing the FSC test is an essential first step towards responsible firearm ownership in California. Question 4. Before cleaning any firearm, what is the absolutely essential first step? A. Gather your cleaning supplies. B. Ensure the firearm is unloaded and the magazine is removed. C. Field strip the firearm. D. Put on safety glasses. Answer: B. Ensure the firearm is unloaded and the magazine is removed. Explanation: verifying the firearm is completely unloaded is the most critical safety rule before beginning any cleaning or maintenance. Visually and physically checking the chamber and removing the magazine eliminates the possibility of an accidental discharge while you are handling the firearm closely. This step prevents potentially fatal accidents during cleaning, reinforcing the rule that you must always treat every firearm as if it were loaded until you have personally verified otherwise. Always perform this safety check before cleaning or performing any work on a firearm. Question 5. Which of the following is not one of the fundamental rules of firearm safety? A. Treat every firearm as if it were loaded. B. Keep your finger off the trigger until your sights are on the target. C. Point the muzzle in a safe direction at all times. D. Store your firearm loaded for immediate access. Answer: D. Store your firearm loaded for immediate access. Explanation: the fundamental rules of firearm safety emphasize preventing accidental discharges and ensuring safe handling. While immediate access might be a consideration for some, storing a firearm loaded goes against the principle of secure storage and increases the risk of unauthorized access or accidents. Always treating firearms as loaded, controlling the muzzle direction, and keeping your finger off the trigger until ready to shoot are universally accepted safety pillars. Prioritizing safe storage, even over immediate access, is a key part of responsible ownership. Question 6. When carrying a concealed handgun, where is it generally not permissible to carry, even with a valid permit in California? A. On public sidewalks. B. Inside your personal residence. C. Within 1,000 feet of a school grounds. D. In a national forest. Answer: C. Within 1,000 feet of a school grounds. Explanation: California law designates certain locations as gun-free zones, where carrying firearms is restricted, even for permit holders. School grounds and areas within 1,000 feet of school grounds are commonly prohibited locations to ensure the safety of students and staff. While specific exemptions can exist for law enforcement or security personnel, a standard concealed carry permit typically does not authorize carrying in these sensitive areas. Always know and follow the specific location restrictions outlined in California law and your permit conditions. Question 7. Before obtaining a concealed carry permit in California, applicants are typically required to demonstrate: A. Ownership of multiple firearms. B. Good moral character and completion of a firearms training course. C. Membership in a gun club. D. Previous experience in law enforcement or military. Answer: B. Good moral character and completion of a firearms training course. Explanation: California law requires concealed carry permit applicants to meet specific criteria, including demonstrating good moral character and completing a state-approved firearms training course. The training course ensures applicants are proficient in safe handling, shooting, and understanding the laws related to carrying a concealed firearm. The good moral character requirement is assessed by the issuing agency and is a subjective but necessary component of the application process. These requirements aim to ensure that only responsible and adequately trained individuals are granted permits. Question 8. What is the proper technique for reholstering a handgun after it has been drawn? A. Reholster quickly while watching the target area. B. Keep your finger on the trigger while reholstering. C. Look the handgun into the holster, keeping your finger off the trigger. D. Point the handgun towards your body while reholstering. Answer: C. Look the handgun into the holster, keeping your finger off the trigger. Explanation: reholstering is a high-risk activity for accidental discharges, so it must be done deliberately and safely. Looking the handgun into the holster ensures proper alignment and prevents snagging on clothing or gear, while keeping your finger absolutely off the trigger guard and outside the holster mouth prevents inadvertent pressure on the trigger. This careful, visual process minimizes the chance of a negligent discharge during the transition back into the holster. Treat reholstering with the same caution as drawing, ensuring muzzle control and trigger discipline. Question 9. Which type of ammunition is generally prohibited for self-defense carry in California? A. Full metal jacket, FMJ. B. Jacketed hollow point, JHP. C. Armor-piercing handgun ammunition. D. Lead round nose. Answer: C. Armor-piercing handgun ammunition. Explanation: California law specifically prohibits the possession of armor-piercing handgun ammunition due to its potential to penetrate bullet-resistant materials commonly worn by law enforcement. While other types like jacketed hollow point, JHP, or full metal jacket, FMJ, are generally permissible for carry, subject to specific local ordinances or range rules. Armor-piercing rounds are considered a threat to public safety and are banned. Always be aware of the legal restrictions on ammunition types in California. Question 10. If you are carrying a concealed firearm and are stopped by law enforcement, what is the most important thing to do after informing the officer of your permit and firearm? A. Exit the vehicle immediately with your hands up. B. Reach slowly towards your waistband to show your permit. C. Remain calm, keep your hands visible, and follow all instructions from the officer. D. Begin explaining why you are legally carrying. Answer: C. Remain calm, keep your hands visible, and follow all instructions from the officer. Explanation: after you have safely and calmly informed the officer about your concealed firearm and permit, your primary responsibility is to ensure your actions do not appear threatening. Remaining calm, keeping your hands visible in a non-threatening location, like on the steering wheel or dashboard, and strictly adhering to every command the officer gives is crucial for de-escalating the situation and ensuring everyone's safety. Your cooperation and visible compliance are key to a safe interaction. Question 11. When practicing drawing from a holster, what is the safest way to begin? A. With a loaded firearm, practicing at home in front of a mirror. B. With an unloaded firearm, dry practice, using an empty gun or inert training aid, in a safe direction with no ammunition present. C. With a loaded firearm at the shooting range, practicing speed draws immediately. D. Practicing with a loaded firearm, but only while wearing a retention holster. Answer: B. With an unloaded firearm, dry practice, using an empty gun or inert training aid, in a safe direction with no ammunition present. Explanation: practicing drawing and reholstering carries inherent risks of accidental discharge, so it must be done under the safest possible conditions. Dry practice, using a verifiably unloaded firearm or a training dummy gun, eliminates the possibility of firing a live round during practice. Performing this in a safe location where the muzzle is pointed at a secure backstop and ensuring absolutely no live ammunition is present in the practice area are critical safety measures. Always confirm your firearm is unloaded and practice dry firing in a safe direction. Question 12. A California concealed carry permit is issued by which authority? A. The Department of Justice, DOJ. B. The applicant's county sheriff or the police chief of an incorporated city. C. The California Highway Patrol, CHP. D. The National Rifle Association, NRA. Answer: B. The applicant's county sheriff or the police chief of an incorporated city. Explanation: in California, the authority to issue concealed carry permits, CCW licenses, rests with local law enforcement agencies. Specifically, the decision to issue a permit is made by the sheriff of the county in which the applicant resides or the police chief of the city if the applicant resides within an incorporated city that issues permits. The DOJ maintains statewide records but does not issue the permits directly. Know your local issuing agency and their specific requirements. Question 13. When storing ammunition at home, what is the primary safety guideline? A. Store it separately from firearms, preferably in a locked container. B. Store it loosely in a drawer for easy access. C. Store it loaded in magazines, ready for immediate use. D. Store it in the same locked container as the firearm. Answer: A. Store it separately from firearms, preferably in a locked container. Explanation: storing ammunition separately from firearms significantly reduces the risk of unauthorized individuals loading a firearm. Keeping ammunition in its own locked container adds another layer of security, making it harder for children or others who should not access firearms to obtain the means to make one functional. This separation, along with secure firearm storage, is a cornerstone of preventing accidental shootings and misuse. Always keep firearms and ammunition stored securely and apart from each other. Question 14. What is the significance of the 4 rules of firearm safety when carrying a concealed handgun? A. They only apply when practicing at the range, not during daily carry. B. They are fundamental principles that guide safe handling and prevent accidental discharge in all situations, including concealed carry. C. They are optional guidelines, depending on your comfort level. D. They are outdated rules that don't apply to modern handguns. Answer: B. They are fundamental principles that guide safe handling and prevent accidental discharge in all situations, including concealed carry. Explanation: The 4 fundamental rules of firearm safety are not just for new shooters or range practice, they are universal principles that apply whenever you interact with a firearm, including while carrying concealed. Adhering to rules like treating every gun as loaded, controlling muzzle direction, keeping your finger off the trigger until ready to shoot, and being sure of your target and backstop is essential for preventing accidents in any scenario, especially in public while carrying. These rules should be ingrained habits for anyone who carries a firearm. Question 15. Carrying a concealed firearm while under the influence of alcohol or drugs is A. Permitted in California as long as you have a valid permit. B. Only restricted if your blood alcohol content is above the legal limit for driving. C. Strictly prohibited and can result in severe legal penalties, including permit revocation. D. Acceptable in your own home, even with a permit. Answer: C. Strictly prohibited and can result in severe legal penalties, including permit revocation. Explanation: Responsible firearm handling and carrying require clear judgment and unimpaired physical control. Carrying a firearm while under the influence of alcohol or drugs is extremely dangerous and is illegal in California. This prohibition is in place to prevent negligent handling, poor decision-making, and potential misuse of a firearm. Any permit holder found to be carrying while impaired faces serious legal consequences and likely loss of their permit. Never handle or carry a firearm if you have consumed alcohol or drugs. Question 16. What does the term safe direction mean in firearm safety? A. Pointing the firearm towards yourself to inspect it. B. Pointing the firearm at the ground in front of your feet. C. A direction where an accidental discharge will not cause injury to people and will cause minimal property damage. D. Pointing the firearm straight up into the air. Answer: C. A direction where an accidental discharge will not cause injury to people and will cause minimal property damage. Explanation: A safe direction is one determined by your environment, ensuring that if the firearm were to fire unintentionally, the bullet's path would be harmlessly contained or stopped. This might be a sturdy wall, the ground, depending on the surface and what's underneath, or a designated backstop at a shooting range. Always being conscious of where the muzzle is pointing and ensuring it's in a safe direction is a fundamental rule to prevent injury or damage from an accidental firing. Constantly control your muzzle direction. Question 17. When presenting a handgun from concealment, your trigger finger should A. Rest on the trigger guard as you draw. B. Be placed on the trigger as soon as your hand is on the grip. C. Remain straight along the frame, outside the trigger guard, until the sights are on the target and you have decided to shoot. D. Be used to help secure the holster retention device. Answer: C. Remain straight along the frame, outside the trigger guard, until the sights are on the target and you have decided to shoot. Explanation: Keeping your trigger finger straight along the frame and outside the trigger guard until you are ready to fire is a critical safety rule known as trigger discipline. This prevents unintentional pressure on the trigger during the draw, presentation, or movement, significantly reducing the risk of an accidental discharge. Only when your sights are aligned on the intended target and you have made a conscious decision to shoot should your finger move inside the trigger guard. Practice perfect trigger discipline every time you handle a firearm. Question 18. What is the purpose of a magazine disconnect safety, if a handgun is equipped with one? A. It prevents the slide from moving back. B. It prevents the firearm from firing when the magazine is removed. C. It blocks the trigger from moving when the safety lever is engaged. D. It automatically locks the slide open after the last round is fired. Answer: B. It prevents the firearm from firing when the magazine is removed. Explanation: a magazine disconnect safety is a feature designed to prevent a firearm from discharging if the magazine is not inserted, even if there is a round in the chamber. This adds an extra layer of safety during unloading procedures, as removing the magazine makes the firearm inert, assuming no round is in the chamber, which must still be checked. It's important to understand if your specific handgun has this or other safety features. Question 19. What does the term condition check refer to when handling a firearm? A. Inspecting the external finish for rust. B. Checking to see if the firearm is clean. C. Visually and physically verifying whether the firearm is loaded or unloaded. D. Checking the tension of the holster's retention screws. Answer: C. Visually and physically verifying whether the firearm is loaded or unloaded. Explanation: a condition check is the crucial process of verifying the firearm's state, specifically, confirming if there is a round in the chamber and if a magazine is inserted. This is done by locking the slide back, or opening the cylinder/action, and visually inspecting the chamber, as well as removing the magazine and physically checking the magazine well. Always perform a condition check whenever you pick up or are handed a firearm, regardless of who last handled it or what they told you. Question 20. In California, if you move to a different county, how does this affect your concealed carry permit? A. The permit remains valid indefinitely regardless of residency. B. You must notify the issuing agency of your change of address, and you may need to apply for a new permit in the new county of residence. C. The permit automatically transfers to the new county without any action required. D. You can continue to carry in your old county but not the new one. Answer: B. You must notify the issuing agency of your change of address, and you may need to apply for a new permit in the new county of residence. Explanation: concealed carry permits in California are issued by the county sheriff or city police chief where you reside. If you move to a different county, you are required to inform the original issuing agency of your address change. Furthermore, to continue legally carrying, you will typically need to apply for and be issued a new permit by the sheriff of your new county of residence, as the original permit is tied to the issuing county. Always comply with notification and application requirements when changing residency. Question 21. Which of the following should not be used as a target backstop when practicing shooting? A. A purpose-built berm at a certified shooting range. B. A solid concrete wall. C. A metal plate designed for target practice at an appropriate distance. D. The surface of water or thin plywood. Answer: D. The surface of water or thin plywood. Explanation: a safe backstop is essential to stop bullets and prevent them from traveling into unintended areas, potentially causing injury or property damage. Water surfaces can cause unpredictable ricochets, and thin plywood offers no significant resistance to a bullet. A proper backstop, like a sturdy berm, solid concrete wall, or purpose-designed metal plate, safely contains or stops the projectile. Always ensure your backstop is robust enough to contain all fired rounds safely. Question 22. The best way to carry a concealed handgun to prevent accidental discharge is to: A. Carry it loose in a pocket or handbag. B. Carry it in a holster that covers the trigger guard and is appropriate for your method of carry. C. Carry it with the safety engaged, regardless of holster type. D. Carry it unloaded with ammunition separate. Answer: B. Carry it in a holster that covers the trigger guard and is appropriate for your method of carry. Explanation: a quality holster designed for your specific handgun and intended carry method, e.g., inside the waistband, outside the waistband, provides crucial protection for the trigger guard, preventing accidental contact with objects or clothing that could cause a discharge. Carrying loose in a pocket or bag offers no trigger protection and is highly dangerous. While engaging as safety is an additional layer, the primary physical barrier against an accidental discharge during carry is a secure holster covering the trigger. Always use a proper holster designed for concealed carry. Question 23. Under California law, who is legally prohibited from owning or possessing firearms? A. Any person under the age of 21. B. Persons convicted of certain felonies or violent misdemeanors. C. Individuals who have received basic firearm safety training. D. Law enforcement officers and military personnel. Answer: B. Persons convicted of certain felonies or violent misdemeanors. Explanation: California and federal law prohibit individuals with specific backgrounds, particularly those convicted of felonies or certain violent misdemeanors, from possessing firearms. These prohibitions are in place to enhance public safety by keeping firearms out of the hands of those deemed a risk. Other categories of prohibited persons include those with certain mental health adjudications or domestic violence restraining orders. It is the individual's responsibility to know if they are legally allowed to possess firearms. Question 24. What is the main risk of using reloaded or remanufactured ammunition in your firearm? A. It is always more expensive than factory ammunition. B. It may not be manufactured to consistent safety standards, potentially leading to malfunctions, excessive pressure, or damage to the firearm. C. It is generally more accurate than factory ammunition. D. It requires a special permit to purchase in California. Answer: B. It may not be manufactured to consistent safety standards, potentially leading to malfunctions, excessive pressure, or damage to the firearm. Explanation: Reloaded or remanufactured ammunition, unless produced by a reputable commercial company, can have significant variations in powder charge, bullet seating depth, or primer consistency. These inconsistencies can lead to dangerous overpressure issues that can damage the firearm or even injure the shooter, or they can cause unreliable feeding and firing. Using factory new ammunition from a known manufacturer is generally recommended for reliability and safety, especially in a self-defense firearm. Prioritize quality and consistency in your ammunition. Question 25. When dry firing a handgun for practice, what is one crucial step you must take every single time? A. Point the muzzle towards the ceiling. B. Insert an empty magazine to simulate loaded conditions. C. Absolutely ensure the firearm is unloaded and remove all live ammunition from the practice area. D. Perform the dry fire practice quickly to simulate real-world speed. Answer: C. Absolutely ensure the firearm is unloaded and remove all live ammunition from the practice area. Explanation: Dry firing involves practicing the mechanics of shooting without live ammunition, but the risk of mistaking a live round for a dummy round or having live ammunition accidentally present is significant. Before starting any dry fire session, you must meticulously check that the firearm is unloaded and remove all live ammunition from the room or area where you are practicing. This prevents a potentially fatal accidental discharge during practice. Make checking for and removing live ammunition a non-negotiable part of your dry fire routine. Question 26. If your concealed handgun malfunctions, e.g., a click instead of a bang, what is the safest immediate action, assuming it's not a defensive situation? A. Immediately attempt to clear the malfunction by racking the slide quickly. B. Point the firearm in a safe direction, keep your finger off the trigger, and wait 30 to 60 seconds before attempting to clear it. C. Reholster the firearm immediately. D. Hand the firearm to someone nearby for them to inspect it. Answer: B. Point the firearm in a safe direction, keep your finger off the trigger, and wait 30 to 60 seconds before attempting to clear it. Explanation: If a firearm fails to fire, misfire, or hang fire, there's a small possibility of a delayed ignition where the round could still fire after a brief pause. By keeping the muzzle pointed in a safe direction, keeping your finger off the trigger, and waiting 30 to 60 seconds, often called the hang-fire drill, you allow any potential delayed ignition to occur harmlessly before attempting to clear the malfunction. Never rush to clear a suspected misfire, prioritize safety first. Question 27. What is the legal term used in California for the permit allowing individuals to carry a concealed handgun? A. Concealed Firearm License, CFL. B. License to Carry, LTC. C. Concealed Carry Weapon, CCW, License. D. Handgun Carry Permit, HCP. Answer, C. Concealed Carry Weapon, CCW, License. Explanation, in California, the official document that authorizes an individual to carry a concealed handgun, and sometimes other weapons, is known as a Concealed Carry Weapon, CCW, license. This terminology is used consistently in state law and by the issuing authorities like county sheriffs and police chiefs. Understanding the correct legal term is important when discussing permits, applying for one, or interacting with law enforcement. Question 28. What is the purpose of having clearly defined shooting lane boundaries at a firing range? A. To prevent shooters from talking to each other. B. To keep shooters' muzzles pointed safely downrange and prevent cross-lane firing. C. To designate where you should stand while waiting for a lane. D. To indicate the type of ammunition allowed in that lane. Answer, B. To keep shooters' muzzles pointed safely downrange and prevent cross-lane firing. Explanation, range safety rules, including designated shooting lanes and firing lines, are designed to control the direction of fire and prevent accidents. Lane boundaries help ensure that every shooter's muzzle is pointed safely downrange towards the backstop, eliminating the risk of cross-lane negligent discharges or accidental hits on adjacent shooters or bystanders. Always follow all range rules and maintain muzzle control within your designated lane. Question 29. What is the California legal requirement regarding locking devices for handguns sold or transferred? A. Handguns must be sold with a trigger lock or similar locking device. B. Handguns must be equipped with an internal locking mechanism. C. Handguns must be stored in a locked safe before transfer. D. There is no specific requirement for locking devices upon sale. Answer, A. Handguns must be sold with a trigger lock or similar locking device. Explanation, California law requires that most handguns sold or transferred in the state must be accompanied by a Department of Justice, DOJ, approved firearm safety device, typically a trigger lock or cable lock. This is part of the state's effort to promote secure storage and prevent unauthorized access to firearms immediately after they are acquired. This requirement is separate from the FSC, but both aim to enhance firearm safety. Always ensure a new firearm comes with a California-approved locking device or purchase one separately. Question 30. When considering a holster for concealed carry, the most important safety feature is that it A. Is made of expensive leather. B. Fully covers the trigger guard. C. Has multiple retention straps. D. Matches the color of your belt. Answer, B. Fully covers the trigger guard. Explanation, a holster's primary safety function is to protect the trigger from accidental contact while the firearm is being carried. A holster that completely covers the trigger guard ensures that nothing can inadvertently press the trigger while the handgun is holstered, preventing negligent discharges during movement or daily activities. While retention is also important, covering the trigger guard is the fundamental safety requirement for a carry holster. Always use a holster that fully covers the trigger guard.